Hello and welcome to task 71. We are going to use variables to create a circular cam. As you may have recalled, in our last few projects we were working with cams, and we have especially been looking at these different types of cams. The circular cam, the elliptical cam, the hexagonal cam, the pear cam, the snail cam, the heart cam. And if you look closely at these drawings, what are their dimensions? If you look carefully, how many inches is the diameter of this circular cam? How many inches is the diameter of the through hole here? Or how far away is the center of the axle's hole from the center of the cam? Can you tell? Is it in inches? Is it in centimeters? Yep, you may be thinking, Mrs. Ayala, that's a trick question. It's true. These dimensions are not defined in inches, in centimeters, in any specific length. They're defined by their relationships. We are seeing that we can define the shape and the location of the axle according to some constraints, according to a relationship that will always be the same and will be ready to scale to a larger cam or a smaller cam without having to define any specific length, because we might have a smaller version or a bigger version. But the fact is, for this circular cam, we're going to say that the diameter is always the same as this variable d, which we're going to be calling the nominal diameter. And then you can see in the elliptical cam the distance of the center of the axle from the center of the cam is going to be 1/4 of the diameter. So that would be consistent no matter what the size of the cam. Will always have that relationship in proportion. So now that we've kind of discussed why we are defining our cams with these relationships, let's talk about how to make one of these. Let's start with the circular cam. That's kind of the simplest one. We are going to look at assignment 71, which calls on us to make a circular cam. And it's going to be using variables. Like I said, our diameter is called the nominal diameter, and we are going to define the variable in this case to be 2.5 inches. Our axle diameter will be 1/4 of an inch, or 0.25 inches, and our thickness will also be 1/4 of an inch, or 0.25 inches. Then once we have defined our variables, we're going to create our sketch of our circular cam, including the shaft hole for the axle, and we are going to extrude it and engrave our name on it and submit a screenshot that includes our name, all of the dimensions from sketch 1 showing, and any hidden lines showing in our model. So that is our goal for this this project. It's going to be a pretty quick task. We're going to start by navigating to our classwork folder. I'm in my classwork folder. And we're going to create a new document called task 71. I'm going to call it circular cam with my name. I'll call it number 2 because I already made my first one earlier. So now that I have my new workspace set up, I'm going to start by making some variables. I'm going to open the variable table over here. You may remember in our last project we created variables by typing in variable here, and that helped us find the variable tool. That's another way to create variables. But in this case I wanted to show you how this variable table works. And we're going to start with our nominal diameter. That is a type of length, and the value is 2.5 inches. Next, we're looking for the axle diameter, and that will be 0.25 inches. And finally, we're going to define the thickness to also be of 0.25 inches. Great. So now that we have our variables set up, and you can see that as we were creating variables in our table here, they also showed up to our left. We can use them to create our new cam. We're going to create a sketch on the front plane and look at it from the front. This is kind of in the way. Let me move this down. And we're going to use our circle tool. We're going to center our cam on the origin. And there's our first circle. While I'm in the circular tool, I'm also going to make my circle for the axle diameter. And those are our sketch elements. Now to define the dimension of the axle diameter, we are going to define it as, that took me to a side view. Okay. Let me use my dimension tool. Here, so the larger cam is not any particular number specifically. We're going to use our nominal diameter variable. And then while still in the dimension tool, let's define the dimension of the axle hole. In this case, our assignment said to make it the axle diameter minus 0.025 inches. So that makes it 0.225. All right, that looks good. Let's accept our sketch. We'll do an extrude of our new sketch there. And the thickness is going to be, guess what? The thickness variable that we had started to create. There it is. So if we look, it looks great. Okay, our next step is going to be adding our name to our cam. So let's create one more sketch on the face of our new cam. And we need to add a text element, of course. I'm putting my name here. You can do the same with your name. Since I don't have a flat edge to my left, I'm going to dimension everything from the y-axis. So I think I'll dimension this as 0.5 inches from the y-axis. I'll dimension my name overall to be 1 inch wide. And we will make the bottom of my name 1/2 inch from the origin. Great. So I can accept this sketch as well. Let's extrude the name. We'll etch it right into our cam. I'm selecting my name. I'm selecting to remove. And I'm going to make it very thin, just 0.05 inches. Okay, that looks great. So once you have your cam finalized and your name etched in, you can make sure that your name is visible in your screenshot. You want to show the dimensions of sketch 1 like this. And you want to Make sure hidden edges are visible. And you can take your screenshot. Good luck with the project.